Live. I hope he's doing well. A little bit later than I want it to be, but that's okay. We're here hanging out. Let's just see who joins. And we're going to chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? Let me know. And these streams are just me hanging out. I tend not have any real plans for them. The 1 a.m. streams, 1 p.m. streams, I have more specific plans. But 1 a.m. is just hanging out, chatting. So let's see who joins and what you guys want to talk about. Going to be a relatively short stream, not too long, but I do hope you guys join. If that is, I could actually get on here and actually type something in. We chat about Freemasonry, so let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. I have got so much work I got to get to at some point in the next few days. I'm way behind on stuff, which is always fun. So we'll give it a minute. We'll see who joins. Happy Rosh Hashanah to everybody who's celebrating. Um, and yeah, let's give it a minute. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry? Please let me know. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment to jump in the chat, say hello. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. We're just going to wait to see who joins. Give it a bit of time. Please hit the like button and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going. If there's anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. I'll probably do the stream not for too much longer, probably till maybe 2. Like I said, unless there's something specific somebody wants to talk about. Or unless there's like a lot of people join and we have a longer discussion. Give it a bit of time, see who joins. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Please let me know, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. We're going to give this a bit of time. Like I said, we're just waiting to see when he jumps in the chat to say hello. I know most people don't join me at 1 a.m., but it's okay. I'd like to come on and just see who wants to talk. I'll be back at 1 p.m. As well, so. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button. Let me know if there's anything you guys want to talk about. Hey Marco, how's it going? Thank you for joining. These 1 a.m. streams is just me hanging out, not really talking about much of anything. Just waiting. No, or I shouldn't say that. What I should say is I don't have any topics. Rather, is just waiting to see who wants to join and what they want to talk about. So, Marco, anything you want to talk about, let me know. When it comes to Freemasonry, or honestly, just anything in general, is perfectly fine as well. I hope that your night is going well. Like I said, I will be back on tomorrow, or I guess today, technically 1 p.m. Going to do some more discussions around. It'll be just a really fun day. So I hope you guys will join. Talking more about networking and marketing. Welcome. You're just joining us. We're here to chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you guys have, positive, negative, or neutral on Freemasonry? I'd love to hear them. These 1 a.m. streams, I just wait to see who jumps in the chat and if there's anything specific they want to talk about. So let me know. Welcome, Pika do YouTube. Sorry I missed you. I don't know what that means. Thank you for saying best live. I much appreciate it. I hope, Pika, you will hit the like button and the subscribe button. Sorry I missed your chat before. If you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, let me know. Either ways, please hit like, please hit subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. And I think you are new to the stream, so welcome. A bit of time, see who joins. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Anything you're talking when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. We're going to give it another, let's say, 30 minutes on the off chance somebody joins. Any thoughts you want to talk about Freemasonry, please let me know. These 1 a.m. streams are just me hanging out and chatting, so. Whoa, what's happening, Mr. Keeps on Ticking? That was very scary with the boo. What are you doing up so late? You got to work tomorrow. These streams are just me hanging out, chatting about anything, but how is it going? And how is your 1:30 a.m. treating you? Well, then I appreciate you jumping on here. Hopefully I'm not Pavloving you into waking up in the morning, or waking up at 1 a.m. to check out these streams. But I do appreciate you being here. It was a fun stream this I guess yesterday afternoon, I should say. I really enjoyed talking with a brother from Washington State about kind of some of the challenges that Washington State is facing, which are very similar to the challenges that we're facing in Ontario, which are similar to the challenges that are being faced everywhere. In some ways, it's both comforting and not comforting, right? It's comforting in the sense that when you know the problems are being faced consistently everywhere, you realize that it's not necessarily any one group, or it's not you necessarily screwing up. It's not comforting because it makes it seem a little bit more frightening in terms of the possibility of finding a solution. Hello, Ryan. Ryan, I saw your pops and I gave him your card. So you should have that, and that has the information about how to acquire your gifted Patreon membership. So you should be all set. Perfect. Yeah, I saw your dad today, so it was good. And you are, of course, welcome. Most people are going to get the card in the mail who won. All of the people here who, like I said, I'm going to go through their stuff soon. However, I guess I got to save some money with you on a stamp. So thank you for saving me the buck. It's human nature, unfortunately. For better or worse, it is human nature. I think there's always going to be in any group a level of tension between kind of the old guard, who, rightly or wrongly, you could argue rightly, feel like they have earned a level of deference based on just the amount of time and effort they put into something, and the new guys who have new ideas and want to try something different, right? Countries, I think, go through the same thing. You saw that in ancient Rome, you saw that in Greece. So it's kind of human nature. How do we figure out the solution is the question. But you're not wrong about that word, the E word, eternal. I think it's definitely an eternal issue, an eternal question. But that makes it fun. If being a Freemason was easy, everybody would do it. Or if being an active Freemason was easy, everybody would do it. That was thanks to Jason Durda. So you should know him. I think you've seen him before. Talking about Freemasonry, I can never say that word, rural sheepdog sheep. Talking about Freemasonry, I hope you hit the like button and subscribe button. I think you're new to the stream. These 1 a.m. streams, honestly, I just take questions from people on the chat. I don't have any specific topics. So if there's anything you want to talk about, any ideas you have, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, please let me know. Or heck, if there's anything else you want to talk about, just let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Can't make any promises. Not to my knowledge, however, keep in mind, I'm not an expert on the York Rite side of things. And I don't know about the degrees in every jurisdiction. I've never seen a degree in either my home jurisdiction or any jurisdiction I've traveled to, or in Scottish Rite, which references Adam and Eve. Um, and that would be either degrees I've seen in Ontario, um, Michigan, Texas, um, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if potentially it gets referenced in either consistory or York, because again, we saw Adam referenced in the Anderson Constitution. Um, but I've never seen it. Well, we don't worship anybody, rural sheepdog. I'm very sorry to say, Freemasons do not worship anything except for whatever our own personal beliefs are. Um, right? And so, certainly within my personal beliefs, I would say I believe in a supreme being. I wouldn't tie it to any particular religion, Christianity or otherwise, but it certainly would not call it Satan. I would say the majority of Freemasons, in my experience, are, I guess, Christian or like default Christian. They grew up in a Christian kind of Christian denominations. Mel, Book of Genesis. Is that where he's referenced? So he's actually, the reason I know about that, give me 1 second to look it up. He was mentioned in, the priest was mentioned in a work by the Masonic Trowel, which is a pretty decent reference sometimes. Um, so I've got him here. But it doesn't say, so the name doesn't sound familiar to me. Um, Other than, like I said, I read about him in the Masonic Trowel. But I'm trying to see if you look up the masonictrowel.com, um, it's called The Mystery of Melchizedek. I'm just looking up this now because I'm reading about it. Let's see. The Craftsman. Again, he may get referenced in York, right? But to my recollection, I've never heard that name in any degrees that I've witnessed. Certainly, he is not referenced in the first 3 degrees of emulation ritual, to my knowledge. That's the ritual that came directly from the Grand Lodge of England. So he's never been mentioned in the first 3 degrees in my lodge, or any lodges in Ontario that I've ever seen. I don't recall him coming up in any of my Scottish Rite work or Scottish Rite rituals. However, that doesn't mean he's not in there, because we don't do every degree, right? You skip some. But I don't ever recall the name. And then, I can't speak to York, but I'm looking here. I mean, I would check. I would read the Mystery of Melchizedek from the MasonicTravel.com. Um, uh, he's not referenced again, to my knowledge. He's not referenced in any of the rituals I've ever seen or taken part in. Um, but there is this work from him from the Masonic Travel. I think, was he referenced in the Anderson Constitution? No, he's not referenced in the. He's not referenced in the Anderson Constitution anywhere. Honestly, I thought this would potentially be where he would uh, be referenced. All right, just doing a quick double check. I do not believe that Melchizedek, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is referenced in any Masonic rituals. At least, not the ones I've ever taken part in. Let me look at Google. I'm curious what Google has to say. It's actually stated in spiritual take, which Freemasonry draws upon and interprets with its own rituals and degrees. So it says here, Scottish Rite. Okay, so it looks like according to Google, he is referenced in the 32nd degree of Scottish Rite. So I'm not quite there yet. I'm still, that's right, I'm still at the 18th degree. Actually, this is a really good discussion about him, actually. Melchizedek and appraisal. What I would say is, well, no, consistory is the third, right? Actually, a better thing to check out would be here. Let me give you this. Okay, I was about to say, wait, what is radish? I got very confused there. I'm trying to paste this, and it's not letting me paste or copy and paste this. If you go to Melchizedek and appraisal, gosh darn it, I can't copy and paste this. Let me see if I can copy and paste it this way. Here we go. I would Google search this, Mr. Keeps. This would be probably, this is a really good piece about him. I knew that name. I couldn't place it. I probably heard it in Masonic circles, but it looks like he is 32nd degree, at least in the southern jurisdiction, and Freemasonry in Canada is based on the southern jurisdiction, though he may also be in the northern jurisdiction of Freemasonry as well. But Melchizedek and appraisal by Worshipful Brother G.C. Love seems like a pretty good explanation of him. So check that out. You know, it's interesting, actually. When you brought up Adam and Eve, I just did a search to check. It looks like there's a reference to Adam and Eve in the Grand Lodge of Rhode Island, where I guess the aspiration to find a way back to the Garden of Eden is referenced. So that's interesting. right? So the degrees in Scottish Rite, um, right? You've got Lodge of Perfection, then you've got the yeah. So it looks like he does make his way in. Like I said, I would read the Melchizedek and Appraisal by W. That seems like the best. Again, being 18th degree, I knew I recognized that name though, so I must have heard it at some point within Masonic kind of teachings, but I never actually took any degrees that featured him. So when you were saying consistory, right? Well, Adam and Eve, like I said, I've never seen or heard any references to Adam and Eve in any Masonic rituals I've seen. Again, I'm not in York, right? So I can't speak to that. And I guess I can't speak to consistory, though to my knowledge, it's never really come up. The one time Adam and Eve, or Adam, Eve wasn't even mentioned, but Adam did come up was actually to my 24-hour live stream when we were reviewing the Anderson Constitution, and it referenced Adam as the first stonemason having geometry in his art. That is true, and in some cases, actually, the apron contains a fig leaf. I've seen aprons with fig leaves, which I guess could be an allusion to Adam and Eve. Obviously, for me, the understanding I've always had of the aprons, and this has been pretty consistent, has always been more kind of a evolution from the aprons that the stonemasons would both use to protect their garments from spot or stain, and also as the a way to carry their tools. And the fig leaf is rare. It's not on most aprons. I have seen some aprons with a fig leaf on it, but most don't. I would say maybe in my entire Masonic career, I've seen two, maybe two Masonic aprons with fig leaves on them. Um, so I don't know if it was ever meant to reference Adam and Eve or was meant just as to reference kind of different religious symbolism, because I have seen aprons with, I mean, all sorts of things on them. Especially some of the ones from South America have been really, really cool. But I mean, to a certain extent, the idea of an apron as covering oneself, again, from a Masonic perspective, obviously we know and we've seen pictures of stonemasons. Let me see if I can find the oldest one. I'm trying to see if I can find the oldest picture. Maybe it's in the history of Masonic aprons. I'm curious if I can find a picture of the oldest operative stonemason tool. But so far, no luck. Or the oldest picture of a stonemason wearing an apron, I should say, or drawing it would be. But I can't find anything about the oldest one. Right, this is from Illinois Masonry. Like most Masonic symbols, aprons came into Freemasonry via the ancient stonemasons who wore them to protect themselves from flying chips of stone and to keep dust off their clothes. These garments were functional and large, made of heavy leather. During the Middle Ages, stonemasons formed themselves into guilds so they could live and work together while passing on the skills and knowledge. Over time, operative masons slowly welcomed non-builders into their communities. But, oh, may this be it here? Oh, all right, I think here it is. Aprons have held practical uses for years, with the first ones made of linen, wool, or hemp, as far back as 1600 BC. Workers of all kinds, from gardeners to tailors to blacksmiths, have worn aprons to protect their clothing from wear and tear. Cooks have long used aprons to avoid stains while preparing food. When Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales, in the late 1300s, he depicted one of his pilgrims, the cook, wearing an apron. And actually, that's the picture of it here, just so you guys can kind of see. So, so I'm not saying aprons can't have some type of biblical symbolism, but their operative use is what Freemasons draw upon with them. But I do hope everybody's doing well. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button. I'll be ending this stream soon. It's been really fun to be on it once again, but I will be back tomorrow. When you mentioned the Knights of Kadosh, or sorry, Council of Kadosh, not Council of Radish, Council of Kadosh, right? That is actually the 30th degree, if I recall correctly. Let me just double check this. Yeah, so in southern jurisdiction, it's Knight Kadosh. In northern jurisdiction, it's Grand Inspector. And then in Canadian jurisdiction, it's Knight Kadosh as well. Because again, in Canada, it's a separate Scottish Rite Council, but it's imaged or kind of created much in the image of the southern jurisdiction, which I always find strange because to me, whenever I think of Scottish Rite, I tend to think of it more in terms of northern jurisdiction than southern jurisdiction because northern jurisdiction is Michigan. Well, we would. Let me double check something here to make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, no. So again, there's north. So Mr. Keeps, there's northern jurisdiction, southern jurisdiction, and Canada. In the Canadian jurisdiction, which covers all of Canada, right? It goes actually Lodge of Perfection, with its 4th degree to 14th degree, Chapter of Rose Croix, which is 15th degree to 18th degree, and Consistory, which is 19th degree to 32nd degree. So our after Rose Croix, it's Consistory. Now, what you were referring to, Kadosh, or otherwise Radish, is what I'm going to start calling it now, is actually the 30th degree within the Consistory. In the southern and Canadian jurisdictions. In the northern jurisdictions, it's Knight Commander, if I recall correctly. Now, having said that, in the, for example, if you look at the Scottish Rite Valley of Chicago, it's Lodge of Perfection, 4 to 14, Council of Princes Jerusalem, Chapter Rose Croix, and then Consistory. So, not quite, Mr. Keeps. Again, I'm not an expert on any of these degrees. However, if I were to proceed within Freemasonry in Scottish Rite, I would be proceeding to Consistory. Part of what I would get, though, would be the Knight Kadosh. You did, and how's it going, Smokey? Thank you for joining. Now, again, that's in the southern jurisdiction, Canada. In the northern jurisdiction, including Chicago, it's called the Grand Inspector. The drama of the 30th degree is a trial scene in a civil court in England in the 14th century. During the reign of Edward, a knight who represents each member aspires to be advanced in himself, defendant at bar of justice, hard school of experience. So, Smokey, I will be sending you a message via Discord soon. I'm going to need your mailing address because I need to mail you one of those special cards, and I'll send you a link on how to become a Patreon member at the $3 a month mark. It's just 1 month, but you get a free membership. So So long as you cancel it before the month is over, you'll be all set. So much for your whole I never win anything nonsense, because you won something last night. We're going to be ending this stream soon. I want to thank everybody for joining. Ryan, if you need any help setting up what was on the back of that card, please let me know and I'll do my best to help you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So thank you so much for, again, always supporting the stream. It is very, very appreciated. Especially even these 1 a.m. streams where, again, I tend not to have any specific topics. It's more just me wanting to hang out. Well, if you are getting ready for work, Smokey, do not forget, I would love a donut. So if you can steal some donuts and send them to me, one day, I'd appreciate it very much. Just mail some donuts. It's fine. How hard could it be? Perfect. No, I don't. Like I said, your number's great, but mostly what I need is your mailing address, and I need to send you a link, but I can send you the link easily. No, I would love 50 donuts too. No, I mean, I'm not even though, I mean, I suppose this is probably my own prejudices more than based. I'm not even a huge fan of the word prayer. I prefer invocations, although I have heard the word prayer in lodge many times. Typically what we do is bow our heads um, as a sign of respect. In some cases, we may put our hand over our hearts. It really just depends on the circumstances. Like I was at a Masonic funeral where actually they did kind of an honor guard for the fallen brother, and everybody in the hallway put their hands on their hearts when they were kind of his casket was being lit up. But usually it's more akin to bowing our heads. That does suck. I mean, I would get fired so quickly because I would be eating all the donuts and I would get in so much trouble. We're gonna give this another maybe, like I said, just 3 or 4 minutes. I'll finish this at 2 a.m. I'll be back at 2 p.m. I'll be talking more again about what I saw on the um, marketing course I'm taking. And by the way, I'm not going to get political. I'm just going to say welcome back, Jimmy Kimmel. The reason I say that is because Jimmy Kimmel's show is filmed at a Masonic temple. So I do kind of really appreciate that. I sent him a letter once saying like, can I could you ever give me a tour of the building from Los Angeles, or could I take pictures of inside of it so I could see if there's any Masonic references still contained therein? Which no dice, he never called me back. It's funny actually. When I was in Los Angeles, I was passing by. I was down in where the Hollywood theater is, which is the Masonic Temple. It's an old school Masonic temple that was bought by, I guess, would be ABC or Disney. I don't know who purchased it, but decades ago. But because of which I appreciate this, Los Angeles has very strict rules around heritage buildings. They weren't able to alter or change the facade at all. So it still has all the Masonic markers on it. In fact, it says on the front of it, Freemasonry builds its temples in communities in the hearts of man. It has its current compasses. I love it. No worries. Um, so I really, I love that. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But it's funny. So I was there. I took pictures of the facade, and then I went to the front and I asked, there's a security guard there. I asked, hey, can I go inside? I just want to look and maybe take a tour. Are there public tours available of this building? The guy told me no. He said I can get a ticket first, to watch the show. If there are any available, I said, well, I don't want to get a ticket for the show because I just want to sneak in and see it for a little bit. He told me no. I then tried to sneak in a back door, and security found me, and security had some words for me. So, causing trouble in Los Angeles. But I would love to see inside of that building. I'd love to see if there's any interior remembrances of the Freemasons therein. I think it'd be really cool. That was like with Village Studios, which is a recording studio. Dr. Dre's recorded there. Fleetwood Mac recorded there. Oh my gosh, so many great artists and bands recorded there. That is actually from a 1920s era Masonic building that was purchased by the recording studio. It was really cool. But they were awesome. They gave me a tour of the building. They even sent me a Christmas card. I had them on my podcast to talk about the building. It was awesome. So that was definitely one of my most fond Masonic memories. Actually, when you want to talk about like Masonic like impacts on cities, Los Angeles is, I would say the biggest ones are Detroit. I'd say the cities that have had, the cities in which Masonry has had the greatest impact would be Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles. And Los Angeles, a lot of it was really pushed by and Washington, D.C., obviously. Um, but Washington, I feel like that's kind of its own separate issue. But in Los Angeles, a lot of it was driven by the studio system, right? Back in the day, kind of wherever you had any particular, um, whenever you had a particular profession that was dominant, a lot of Masons came from that profession. So in Detroit, a lot of Masons came from the big three, from automakers. Um, in Chicago, you actually had a lot coming from the music industry, and in Los Angeles, you had a ton of people joining Freemasonry as a way to get ahead or hoping to get ahead in the studio system. So didn't it really work for them very much, to my knowledge, but there was this idea that you join and you get to meet like the big wigs of the studios or whatever it is. So there's just a ton of Masonic buildings throughout Los Angeles. Unfortunately, with the declining membership within Freemasonry, a lot of those buildings got sold for other purposes. Jimmy Kimmel show, obviously, is in a former Masonic temple. The Village Studios. It was a Masonic, if I recall correctly, it was a Masonic mausoleum slash graveyard where it was owned by the Masons and it was exclusively for Masons when they passed, but it got sold to the public, or sold to another group, and now it's a public graveyard, or anybody can be buried there, but it still has a lot of the Masonic markings therein. Dad, what are you doing awake? You should be asleep. I'm going to be going to sleep very soon myself, so probably another 10 minutes. If that, probably another 5 minutes. But yeah, I would love to go back to Los Angeles. I was there once for um, 3 weeks, stayed in Santa Monica, or 2 weeks, I think it was. Visited a Masonic lodge every night. It was awesome. Yes, the patriarch has arrived. He should be sleeping. He's an old man, not like me. I'm a young man, but he's an old man. He needs to be getting his beauty sleep. I'm, 25 years old, so what can I say? I do not need any sleep myself. Yes, Noah. Noah came up in a lot of our discussions yesterday. It's interesting, or the day before. Interesting how the Anderson Constitution mentions Noah a bunch. It's also probably where Mackey got his idea that calling Freemasons the sons of Noah, because, in the Anderson Constitution, it implied that the sons of Noah became craftsmen and builders of cities. But again, those are operative masons, which is very different than stonemasons. That's assuming you believe, again, the story of Noah as literal, which I do not. Um, but yeah, but I mean, it's also kind of, every profession is the son of Noah. If Noah really, what Noah and his family really were the humans who remained and repopulated, you could argue every profession in some way is the sons of Noah. Yeah, I think that's where Mackey got it from. I'd have to look more into it. I've never really read Mackey. I just know the Cliff Notes, but I know in Mackey, Noah claims that Freemasons are the sons of Noah. My assumption is he got that from the Anderson Constitution, which again said that the actual sons of Noah, Enoch, I think was one of the names. I forget the names, but whoever Noah's sons were actually craftsmen and builders, and were built the cities around the world after the flood. It is Rosh Hashanah. I don't know actually what the purpose, what it celebrates. My old roommate would be so disappointed in me. He was a Jewish, and he used to try to tell me about the Jewish holidays. It's from September 22nd to September 24th. It is the celebration of the Jewish New Year. During Rosh Hashanah, Jewish people around the world ask God for forgiveness for mistakes they made over the past year and remind themselves not to repeat those mistakes in the coming year. I have no issue I have no issue with Jimmy Kimmel. I don't mind his stuff. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of late night television as a general rule. My favorite was always Conan O'Brien, who I think he's absolutely incredible. I like his podcast a lot too. I just think he's very funny. Um, but Jimmy Kimmel, I think is fine. I don't know. He's had some. I've seen some stuff from him that I thought was funny. Probably my least favorite is Seth Meyers. Not that this is a stream about like your favorite or least favorite late night hosts. Um, in any event, he's probably. I mean, I would bet money his ratings tonight were massive. I think if anything, this is probably going to be a pretty. What happened was probably pretty helpful, actually. Ironically enough, one of those things. If there's any lesson I think of the last 5 years, it's usually when somebody gets quote unquote canceled, it almost always results in like a larger audience than they had before. Who it doesn't really matter whoever's doing the canceling, right? Look at Andrew Tate, who I think is a terrible person. Um, when did I first learn about Andrew Tate? I first learned about Andrew Tate when he got canceled. Ironically enough. So what does that tell you, right? And suddenly every news story was about him getting canceled. If he never got canceled, I probably never would have heard of him. We're going to give it another couple minutes and then we're going to finish the stream. But I will say one thing I like about Jimmy Kimmel is again, The fact that he uses the Hollywood Masonic Temple. The worst thing would be if that temple went empty and then got torn down eventually. I don't know if they could. Again, to my knowledge, Los Angeles has some very, very strict, very, very strict heritage designation laws. So I don't know if they could ever actually get rid of it or tear it down, but I would hope not. I think there's always going to be countries against countries, people against people. I think it's kind of human nature. Again, it's unfortunate, but I do believe we're going to end this stream. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate it. I'm going to be ending this stream. Be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. It's going to be fun. I may not have a. Yes, I saw that. Well, so they'll pick one candidate that is meant to exemplify the degree. Like I've been that candidate before, and the remaining candidates watch the play until it's time for the obligation, when usually that part is interactive and they all take it in some form. So there's elements of both. A lot of it is spectator based, and a lot of it is I would say actually, sorry, most of it is interactive based, except for the one candidate who is a representative. I've been that candidate before. It's kind of a lot of fun. It's a weird feeling because you're going through the degree, but you're kind of going through the degree with other people, and you're meant to kind of represent them all, which is a weird feeling sometimes when you're going through it. Even though you don't have to really do much. I mean, I will say there's certainly much less to do in a Scottish Rite degree for the candidate than there is in the first 3 degrees. There's a lot more to do in many cases for the degree team, but it's one candidate who's interacting, the rest are watching until usually it comes time for the obligation, in which case they all have to take part in the obligation in some form or another. Okay, I think we're going to end this stream. Thank you guys so much, as always. See, I think I'll check it out, but Smokey, for me, like, I've never been a huge, again, I don't have anything against him. I've never been a huge Jimmy Fallon fan. Um, like, I would think, just in my rankings, for whatever it's worth, of late night hosts, um, because why not? The top, at the highest, is Conan O'Brien. Always loved his stuff. I think he's great. I think he was a really good host. So Conan O'Brien would be at the top. And then after that, I honestly really don't think about them much one or the other. I thought some of David Letterman stuff was funny. I thought some of Jimmy Fallon stuff was funny. Never been a big Jimmy Fallon fan or Seth Meyers fan, but I don't, like I said, I don't watch enough. I don't watch enough late night to say. I just really love the fact that Jimmy Fallon is filmed in a Masonic temple. All right, guys, thank you so much. Be back tomorrow. Let's let everybody get some sleep, including you, Dad. Have a great night.